I'm Melissa.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to the A&M podcast. So today we have an episode that oh
Sorry, you were like barely in the camera.
oh
I felt like I set the camera up so it might look like I did that on purpose.
our seating is also off lately a little bit, I think, because we used to have our own seats, but now we share a bench. I don't have a back on this either.
Again, laziness. I could move the chairs in, but I don't.
Yeah, well, so here we are. So
Here
here
we
we
are.
are, me off screen. Um, Anyways, y'all, today we're going to talk about tipping.
Yeah, so kind of a crazy thing happened. So I was at the dentist, and when I went to swipe the card in their POS machine, point of sale machine, that is. um, it actually asked me if I wanted to leave a tip, and I think it was the person at the office just kind of tabbed past it, so it didn't. But it kind of brought up the topic of like the places today that people expect you to leave a tip,
Everywhere.
or yeah, everywhere, or just in general, like kind of tipping, and I think um I mean, I don't know. I don't know your thoughts. I thought that was a little crazy.
So I went to the pumpkin patch recently, and when we went up to go pay for the pumpkins, and it's a small pumpkin patch. Um,
It's like a farm, right?
no,
No? Oh,
not
it
that
wasn't. It
one.
wasn't that one. Okay.
The one at the church up the road.
Oh, okay.
So it was that one, and it's just a church with a bunch of pumpkins in the front. They have some string lights. It looks really cute. And then, but I think it's, small, and it just has, when you go up to pay, it's just this little table, you know, I'm sure it's a local little thing. And when you pay for your pumpkins, they ask for a tip at the end. And I don't know, I always feel, especially with a service like that, I want to be nice and give a tip all the
Well,
time. But I think that's kind of weird
yeah.
for a pumpkin, maybe if they brought it to my car or like did more for me, but I had to
So
get out.
I think with that too, it's a little weird because I assume like with a thing like that where it's at a church that everybody's volunteering. So then are the
Exactly.
tips just extra? It's clearly like a fundraiser for the church.
And like you're
So
getting full profit of the pumpkins.
right,
So where's the tip going? It's just
yeah.
like extra money at that point. I don't know if maybe it's just the machines that they use nowadays. It's just the tip option is just an automatic thing.
Well, I think it's something that they can enable or disable, like in the software. I think they can turn it on or turn it off.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, like, are there some places that they don't turn it off because they don't realize that it's there, so they're just doing it, and then those tips are just going who knows where, or is it like at the dentist office? I have to imagine that they didn't actually intend for you to be able to like tip the dentist or tip your
Right.
dental hygienist or whatever.
The thing is, I feel like more of these places, little pro tip, is I think that more of these people would have a lot more luck getting tips if they if they put out like a jar of tips. Back in the day when I used to work at a frozen yogurt place, it obviously frozen yogurt places back then, they were all self-service. Self-service is the best service. And all of those places, like you go in, you get your own cup, you fill up your own ice cream, you put on your own toppings, like you do everything yourself. The only thing that the workers are doing, besides cleaning up and all that stuff that you're getting paid for, is cashing you out, which you're also getting paid for. But we had a tip jar, and I'm not gonna lie, because we just basically took the tips and we would just split it at the end of the week or whatever amongst everybody. But I made a pretty good amount sometimes on tips just because people have extra dollars and or change or whatever, and
Yeah.
they're just gonna throw it in there.
So do you think though that that's as effective today? Because I feel like more and more places are cashless, more and more people are cashless. But I just kind of wonder with so many places today being like cashless, if that impacts that because people aren't going in and paying. Like when somebody comes in and pays with cash, and you give them back their change, and there's a jar there, they're going to drop their change in it. But I
Right.
feel like, since COVID, especially, like, I'm amazed by like, we go to the, I'm trying to think, I think there it does too. Like, when we go to the UCF games,
Hmm.
and we'll get like water, or I'll get a beer or whatever at one of the concessions, like right in front of or inside the stadium, or they only are cashless in there. They don't even take cash.
Yeah.
So I feel like, with your theory, it's good, but is it still, relevant if people aren't carrying cash?
I always assumed that places were starting to add tip, like the do you want to tip thing more now, just because, oh my God.
Almost a tragedy.
Just because at the same time they're if you're getting tips or asking for tips, then maybe they don't have to pay you as much as an employee.
Well, that used to be like the whole idea of tipping used to be that you could pay somebody who was like a server, for example, lower than minimum wage, but then they could get tips. And like, I feel like tips back then were, and I could be wrong, but I feel like tips back. This is another one of my. We're gonna do a whole episode with my things that I assume, and then we're gonna
Facts.
look them up and find out if they're true.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that
but
we gotta start documenting
yeah,
them.
I know. I'll just go through them, and you can Google them and find out.
If whoever documents them for us
Yeah,
instead and sends them over,
yeah,
you'll get a free A&M
yeah.
coffee cup
We'll get you a coffee
or
cup.
merch or something.
Right. But boy, now I forget. Oh, but I don't know if like that maybe the tips then were assumed to not be taxed. So and it was like, oh
Oh
well,
yeah.
you make, when back in the 1800s, when I was a child, and minimum wage was like $4 an hour or something. I
What?
think you could pay a
Oh yeah.
server like $2 an hour, $2 and change an hour, but they'd get tips, so they were really making more money than that. So that was kind of,
I
I
think
think
that's kind
that's
of
how
how
it
it is
used to
now.
be. But do servers still make under minimum wage?
I'm pretty
And then
sure.
really,
But
okay,
I don't
well,
know. I don't know. I
yeah,
should check that, but
that's so
I'm pretty sure though.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they
And
do.
and then, like, tipping makes sense. The funny thing to me is like certain places, like I think of, um when we go on, like, one is like on cruises, they generally have like part of the package is, they pay the tips, which means you're paying all the tips in advance. But like, even in that circumstance, like, to me, if somebody's giving like really excellent service, we'll give them something extra, like at the end, like when we've gone on, when we've gone to those resorts, or that resort that we used to go to in the Dominican Republic. That was like part of the package was, oh, and it includes all the tips for for the service people.
Hmm.
And we would still tip like the guy who was the and this sounds, the butler for our room, but he was like the concierge, really.
Okay.
They called him a
IQ
butler, but
me.
yeah. But we would always like tip him something extra because they were usually really good and that kind of thing. But it was the same thing there. It was like assumed that you really didn't have to tip like the bartenders and that kind of thing, or the people that would come around and get you drinks, but everybody still did, a little bit, because we're used to, like, that's part of American culture is tipping.
Yeah.
Um, but like when you go to Europe, I don't even know. I'm trying to think if when we paid with a card, like places where we paid with cards, if there was even an option to put a tip. Some of them I've definitely, like, and I'm talking about restaurants. There wasn't even the option. So, like, clearly, and I've heard that before, that that the tipping isn't a thing over in Europe.
Yeah, I've heard that too. When I went to, where did I go? Oh, I went to Kobe the other day, and they add the tip automatically on your receipt.
Oh, even for, like, I've been places where if it was like party of six or more, they automatically
No,
put the receipt
just
or
two.
the. Wow.
Just two, and they added it on the receipt.
See, so here's the thing to me now.
And it was like a
If you,
happy hour special too, so it's not even like it was like over a certain
right.
amount. It was literally like a $40 bill, but they added the tip on there
Yeah,
already.
see, here's the thing to me. If you're gonna do that, like even the large party thing, if you're gonna do
Yeah.
that, then just make your prices higher,
Yeah.
and just pay the people that are working for you what they deserve.
Yeah.
or what they would get as a result of the tip, I guess is the better way to put it, and make it, I don't know, do it as a bonus somehow as part of their pay them the wage you pay them, and then pay them X% of every kind of bill.
Yeah, I agree.
um
Because to an extent, I feel like when you're picking a job like that, where you're mostly depending on your tips, um, I feel like that's just kind of what you're signing up for is
right.
bad tippers. Like when Brandon
Well,
used to
yeah.
work he was like a host, but then he got moved to a server, and he would have tables. I remember he would tell me like he would have tables where he felt like he killed it. He was refilling their water. He was, doing the most. And sometimes, not a lot, but you would have that table that doesn't tip at all. And unfortunately, that's kind of just what you sign up for in that
Yeah.
way. It's just the
It's the
same as
risk you take, right?
yeah,
You
it's
could you could be that person like the ones you see on the internet where,
mhm,
somebody leaves them a $5,000 tip or something
right.
like that, and you're going to get the people that are going to throw the spare change out of their pocket on your table.
Yeah,
You know what? The
exactly.
the thing I like about tipping is it kind of gives you that, like, an opportunity to reward, like, really good service,
Yeah.
and to, I don't want to say punish, but to give an indication that you had really bad service. You know.
I feel like a bad server. I always tip them about like I don't, I won't leave you like a terrible tip if you're like a bad server. Like I'm not.
It has to be really
It has to be really
bad for
bad.
me to, yeah, for me
Yeah.
to like make any kind of significant adjustment. But I do like,
I feel like a bad server knows that they're a bad server though. They
yeah,
don't need you to like give
well,
a little tip. But
yeah. I think
maybe
I can only think of one time where I didn't tip anything, where I literally left no tip, and it was, no, this was
wow.
years ago. Like, this was like you guys were little, and it was, I think we were in like I think it was like a TGI Fridays,
Love
and this
that.
was when we lived in Pennsylvania, and our food took forever to come out. Our server was never anywhere to be found, and I think in the end, like we were there like over an hour. I think it was like close to 2 hours we were there, and somebody never got their food. There was one of us that never got their food, and that was a time that I think that it was completely appropriate, because this person, and even when we were like kind of complaining about the fact that they were just like, they were actually giving us attitude about it, and that's the one like circumstance where I would say, okay, you're not getting anything from me, because like you didn't do the basic of what's expected, which is like, bring us what we ordered, you know.
I remember
um
one time I was at Applebee's a few months ago for like they had some like I don't know boneless wing deal or it was like a deal like all you can eat boneless wings, ribs, and something else. I think it was fried shrimp or something like that. They had three different options. And the server there, she's the best. Like every time I'm in there, she always hooks it up. And she's always so nice. And that day, you're when you do things like that, you're not supposed to get the leftovers.
hmm
But she she was like letting us mix and match, and then
oh,
even when
wow.
we left, she was like, "Do you guys want a to-go box of some? Like I'll get you an order of whatever you want to go."
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, "What? Yeah, whatever you
Wow.
want." Actually, at first we were like, "No, no, that's okay. Like I don't want you to get
And
in
have
trouble."
have you had that server before?
Oh, so
Or,
most of the time, yeah.
oh, okay.
Most
So
of the
they
time we
so
go
they
there.
know you. So they were like,
Yeah, she
yeah,
knows.
that's nice.
And even with the
That's nice.
drinks, like they had some drink deal where it was like a two for one type of thing. And with the two for one, you're supposed to get like the same flavor or the same
Oh,
drink or whatever it
right.
is. She let us mix and
So let
match.
you mix it.
So
Wow.
when, we
So
obviously gave her a really good tip because it's like, well, come
can
on, like,
can we go off topic slightly? But as you're mentioning, like, 2-for-1 drinks, it made me think of like sometimes you go to Applebee's and they'll
hmm
have the 2-for-1 like beer,
yeah.
and if you don't expect it, and you just like, oh, I'll just order like a Yingling,
hmm
and then they bring me two out, like, I feel really bad about that, because I'm like, wow, it looks It looks like I have a problem. I ordered 2 of these, and then I realized that the glass they give it to you in is like it's like a 5-ounce glass or something.
I don't like when
They're
they bring
small
them both out
glasses.
at the same time.
Yeah, I know
Because then
because
the next one,
yeah,
the
the
second
second
one.
one's warm
Hmm.
or not warm, but room temperature.
Yeah, not ice cold. Not that. What's the temperature of the Twin Peaks
Oh,
beer?
I think
28
it's
degrees.
29 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, not
That's
that
so good.
29.
That little layer. See, we are getting off topic, but I don't
Yeah.
mind. That little layer of ice that forms right on the top of the beer. Oh,
Yeah, real good.
the
That blue
best.
moon.
I don't know, and I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what it is about beer at that temperature that it actually tastes better. But
I think it's just most drinks. Like
you
most
think
drinks, if you think about it, that are supposed to be cold, they taste really good cold.
cold,
Like
like
ice
super
cold.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like think of a soda.
right.
Like a soda that is like, kind of cold is,
Yeah,
But a soda that
it's
it
like
was in the back of
ice.
the
Oh
fridge where
yeah,
it's the
yeah, that's
coldest,
true. Maybe it got a little bit of ice on the top of the
Yeah,
can.
it's
Yeah,
even
that's
better.
true. That is true.
And beer
Yeah.
kind of has already a very specific taste to it.
Right.
So I feel like it being ice cold makes it a little bit better, a
Yeah.
little bit more
I wonder if
manageable.
it too because I prefer like draft beer. I think most people that drink beer prefer draft beer to
Hmm.
like canned or bottled. Um, and I wonder if that's part of the reason like if it's just gives it more of a fresh flavor because it's colder. I don't know. It's really not what we were talking about,
Not what we're talking about.
but I was trying to think of some like other odd occasions though where like I would say
It's like when
where
Starbucks implemented it. Starbucks
right.
when you go through the drive-through
Yep.
and they have it.
They have it. See, I have. There are times. I mean, so like your mom always says, her general rule is like, if I'm just going there and like if, for example takeout. If we order takeout,
Mm.
this is one of them that gets on my nerves every time. If I order takeout and I go to like a Chinese restaurant or like a bocce restaurant or something like that, and I'm getting takeout,
Yeah.
and it's asking me about a tip, I'm like, I mean, I'm paying you for the food. Nobody brought it to me. Nobody refilled my drinks. None of that stuff. This was just, and I came in and picked it up. So why is it asking me for a tip?
I always
And
had a rule of if you get paid a normal wage.
yeah, but how do you know?
Because you know those kind of jobs that pay you normal wage.
Yeah, but I'm saying like a lot of times the Chinese restaurants, the people who work there are the owners.
Yeah.
So
I guess like if I eat inside though at those kind of places, not like even I feel like I'm name dropping a lot of restaurants, so if someone
yeah,
wants to send us a gift
yeah,
card or
I know,
something.
right? We've name
But
dropped a lot of places and nobody's sent us anything yet.
anything, not even a t-shirt.
Yeah, we
Uh,
had to make our own mugs.
True. Um, but when like I think of like a Tijuana Flats type of place. When you go there, is it Tijuana Flats? I don't know, like those kind of places where it's not necessarily like a sit down restaurant or anything even like that, but they'll come up and they're cleaning up after you. Maybe
Right.
they'll ask if, they'll give you a refill or something.
Well, yeah,
But they're not like tending to you,
right.
but they are
But they kind of are because
kind of
yeah, they
are.
do. Or sometimes they'll come around and they'll just like that. I think that happened at I'm gonna name drop another place at Little Greek. What is it? Little Greek Fresh Kitchen in. Well, it doesn't matter where.
You
But
ate there?
well, we ate there the one time inside, and while we were there, like the guy, I think he had like somebody had ordered and theirs wasn't ready, so he brought it out to us then.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think your Grammy was with us, and like she had asked for something extra, and the guy went back and got it for her. Like that's a case where
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like I'll
that's
tip if I
that's
eat
different.
inside, but
I'm
not if I'm
I'm
picking it up.
yeah, I'm saying if like when we get Chinese food and I go and I ordered it and I go and pick it up and but it's still in some places it's the funny thing is it's not everywhere, but some places it will ask about a tip. I also feel like I've been at stores, like just regular stores that weren't like not like a Target or a Walmart or a big store, but like a little small like privately owned store. And I think
Hmm.
that's come up, and I feel like that's been the case where they just didn't know how to configure the point of sale terminal because it's like I go in there to buy whatever
Decorative
random
pillows.
item, yeah, decorative pillows, and they're looking for a tip. I don't think that's the case, but you were mentioning Starbucks too, and there are times where like because we really like our Starbucks people, because we've mentioned before they know us, they know our order. It's so funny
They know
because
your car.
they know our car. There's a lot of times where like there was at least two times recently where I pulled up to the screen and I heard the guy's voice and I knew it was one of the guys that we always see there. And I start to read the order and it pops up on the screen. I said, "Yep, you got it right." So like those guys
That's
because
funny.
they always make it the way we want it and that kind of thing. Like I don't we tip occasionally there. We don't
Hmm.
always tip there because it's we're paying in the app and it's like an extra step in the app that we just it's not that we're
Yeah.
intentionally not doing it. We just like kind of forget about it. Um, but we've also said like like for the holidays, I want to like have some gift cards when we go
Oh,
and
yeah.
hand them a gift card.
That's
If
nice.
it's one of the regulars that we always see, just because we like them and and
Yeah.
that's the other like part of tipping. I think that that's always confusing to me because like some people they'll like they're the people that if they have somebody that comes from UPS all the time or USPS
Hmm.
or Amazon, they'll like tip them around the holidays, which is another thing. Or some
Oh, I
people even for
love
their
when
garbage
Amazon
men.
does that.
Oh yeah, I think they still do that too.
Like throughout
Like
the
thank
year.
you can do the thank my driver
I
thing.
haven't seen it pop up on mine.
It did recently on
I know
ours,
they
but
do
not
it on
too
the
recently.
holidays.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, and I
sure.
like that too because I mean, I feel like those guys like work really hard, and even though
They don't
every
get
now
paid
and then
enough either.
they get my they're late with my package or whatever, but like
Hmm.
90% of the time, they get my stuff here, and yeah, I feel like they work hard. All those delivery drivers, I feel like, especially around the holidays, they work all kinds of crazy hours, and so if you're gonna
Hmm.
tip somebody, there's somebody to tip. But it's funny because like that's a circumstance where you don't regularly tip them because how would you? They're just, you don't pay them money generally. You order something and the company that ships it to you is the one that pays for the actual delivery. So like, once a year around the holidays, I guess when people are feeling generous is the time that
I
people
like
give
when
out gift cards and that kind of thing.
no, I like when people set out the little carts.
Right.
It's mostly on social media, but I think that's just because they
Yeah.
get so many packages. I don't get enough packages where that would ever be worth it for
Yeah.
me. Like personally, I mean, that cart would be out there with snacks on it for forever.
Yeah, right.
But
Like they'd go bad.
yeah, they go bad. But I like when people do that and they have the little snacks and
Yeah, I think that's a
variety
nice.
of stuff.
I think it's a nice gesture as long as it's not just being done for their social media site.
Yeah,
Like they did it, they filmed it, then they took it all
bring it
down and put it
inside.
back in their fridge.
No, I think most of the time I've seen some of them they'll get real creative with it. Like they'll have a whole little mini fridge out there
Wow.
sometimes to keep the drinks cold
Oh wow.
or
They have a
yeah,
sign there though, so that like
so that
Amazon,
they know.
UPS, help yourself kind
They
of
you have
thing.
like yeah, they usually have like nice porches, front
That's
porches
nice.
and stuff too, but
That's
I think
it's,
that's so
but
cute.
there's also the porch pirate situation. So it's like
Right?
there's the danger of the porch pirate just going up and taking all the drinks and the candy
Right.
bars or
Not
whatever.
only are you taking my package, you're taking my
Yeah,
Gatorades.
yeah. That's that. But I wonder if that's happened.
I
I
don't know, yeah.
well, actually, there's probably not enough people doing that for it to have happened because most people don't go to that much trouble.
Mm,
Unfortunately.
that would be real ballsy anyways because so many people have cameras now.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the porch pirate
They don't care.
situations happen
Yeah.
even though people have cameras.
True. That's what I'm
I
saying.
know it's funny today. We're getting off topic, but it's 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 funny today because I don't think as humans we realize how often we're on camera. We've talked before about like the
Oh
Teslas
yeah.
and how they have cameras, and I'm sure other cars do at this point too. It's not just Tesla,
Mhm.
um, but how many people have doorbells with cameras on them or have other security cameras around their house. So I don't think as human beings and then most businesses that kind of thing. I don't think people realize how often they're being recorded.
Oh, I realize it.
Oh, I'm hyper aware of it.
I'm hyper aware of it
Yeah.
at all times. Even stores, I saw that a lot of stores, I forget which ones, but they have actual like facial recognizing systems.
Oh, like you mean where you check out or where you go in?
Just like overall, like on the whole
Wow.
store. So like
Wow.
when you from the
Yeah,
moment you walk in, they have like facial recognition.
they supposedly like during the Super Bowl, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago, they started using like facial recognition in the like for people going into the stadium to try to look for like I guess, bad people,
Mhm.
which is kind of crazy, but bad people shouldn't get tips. I'm driving us back to our main topic.
Yeah,
Um,
no. Anyways, I always tip.
yeah.
I always
Well,
tip well.
but always tip when it's appropriate to tip, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because if again, like going back to the start of things, if I go into the dentist's office or if I go into, like, I'm trying to think
Dentist office
of,
is so funny.
that's probably the weirdest place that it's come up. And again, I know it was just that they hadn't set the point of sale system up right, so it wouldn't, ask for that. But I'm trying to think of like the weirdest place other than that.
What do you think of people who don't tip people like Uber drivers or Uber
Oh,
Eats or
yeah,
DoorDash?
that's not cool. That's we know somebody like that.
We do
But
know
that's
someone.
and we've told him.
Yeah,
Um,
we
but
discipline
no,
him.
that's not cool either because like you can make the argument that well that you're paying for them to deliver it, but
Right.
but it's still like because that's even like when just pizza delivery used to be the thing.
Oh
We would
yeah.
always like tip the driver even though they usually charge you a fee, but not all of that fee is going to the driver, and I think it's the same thing with Uber. I think that like not all that money goes directly to them.
No, and I think that's like the issue as well though, because like so for example, with like DoorDash, the issue is that you pay so many fees. Like first of all, whatever you're ordering in the first place is just is already more expensive than no, like in the
Right. Yeah.
store.
The base price itself is higher,
The base
and then
price
if there's a
itself, yeah.
delivery fee on top of that,
Then there's a
right.
delivery fee, and then there's also like the tax, and then there's so many things
Right.
before you even get to the tip that makes it high, and that's I think where some people are like, okay, well, I'm paying, but that's also the convenience that
Right.
you're paying for. Like
Right.
you can make
But
it cheaper by just going to the
and
store or restaurant yourself.
right, exactly. And we've done that too, where it's been like, "Oh, I don't want to pay for the delivery.
Yeah.
And it's never about the tip as much as it is I don't want to pay for the delivery fee.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it is like, where does that end? So like, you know, like if I'm somebody who like I have in my life done like private consulting, and when I do that kind of thing, like should I give the person that I'm sending the bill to the option to tip me on my invoices?
Low
Is that
key.
is that a thing?
I know with
So
DoorDash they pay you like they pay you a base amount. So they'll pay you like $3 or $2 or whatever,
right,
like to do this order. I honestly I think it's like 275 or something. Either way, it's literally a couple dollars. And then anything else you make off of it is straight tip. And then the more you do it, the more, they open you to take more orders and
right,
things like that, but even when you're getting set up for that, you kind of have to pick up every single order because
true.
they like to see that effort, but you can see that person is our whole thing like shaking?
I don't think so. Is there an earthquake? We're in Florida. We don't get earthquakes. No. I think you're just I think you're hearing background noise.
I am hearing background noise. You know what I feel like
Okay.
I'm
I
hearing?
think we're gonna have to. I think we might have to. Maybe we'll leave this in.
I
We'll
feel
see.
like I'm hearing the AC or like a dryer in my head.
Oh, might be.
Maybe
So,
you'll hear it when you edit
side
this.
note: our next door neighbor's AC unit is right outside the window, and it's very loud. So
It's
that may
so
be what we're
annoying.
hearing.
But what was I saying? Yeah, so anyways, when you pick up an order, you can see that they're not tipping. You can see it has like a $0 tip or a
So
$1 tip.
it shows that when you do it, because like
before you pick it up,
I've
or
done
like when you pick it up or whatever.
when
But,
when I've used an Uber when I've been traveling, and like when I get in the car, it immediately gives me the option to tip, and I
Yeah.
usually do it right then because I'm gonna tip them anyway.
yeah.
But I've had times where it was like, oh, I'm not dealing with that right now. I'll do it when I get done. But I don't think they get notified.
I think
that,
Uber's different, but
Okay.
like, because even I know with Uber and Uber Eats, you get paid, even as an employee, you get paid on a certain day. Those DoorDash drivers have it in their bank account like right away, like whatever you tip
So-
them or whatever. But Uber Eats, it's like
But
a payday.
Yeah,
for
it's
Uber.
kind of crazy though because I thought, and maybe you told me, somebody told me about like a circumstance where somebody somebody had planned to give a cash tip to the
Oh yeah,
to
there
the
was
driver.
a TikTok on it.
Yeah, that's right.
And the lady literally, it was a DoorDash driver, I think. And so the DoorDash driver basically picked up her order and she could see that it was a $0 tip. So she wrote her a little note, stuck it, I think, in the bag or something like that for the girl. And then the girl, when the lady got there, it was like a meet at the door situation, I think. So when the lady got there, the girl was sitting there and she's like, oh, here's your tip. And it was a cash tip. And the lady now felt embarrassed and she was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. I left you a note in there. Please ignore it. Like, don't read it.
Wow.
And then the girl later on ended up posting the note because obviously, like, who wouldn't read it?
Right.
And she didn't end up taking the cash tip either.
Oh wow.
But because at that point she was embarrassed. She's
Right.
like, I just
She felt
basically
bad.
cussed this girl out in
Right.
a note. And I forget what the note said, but it said something.
I think right there is why they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't tell the person whether you've tipped or not, and that's why I don't like when they ask that kind of thing in advance.
Oh, because it might
because-
affect how it's even being delivered.
Well, because I don't. Number one, what did I say before about that's my only opportunity to either reward somebody for excellent service or maybe not reward them as much for not as good service.
Yeah.
And you're asking me that in advance, and I don't know what kind of service I'm going to get. So, like, plus in this scenario, because the person hadn't done it and had other plans, right?
Yeah.
Or honestly, maybe they missed that step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me. But so you're actually turning the tip into like a negative.
Well,
when it
that's-
should always be a positive, whether it's a good tip or a not so good tip, as long as you're tipping, it should always be a positive, and you're turning it into a negative because now you're getting worse service because they're judging based on the fact that they think you didn't tip.
Yeah, to an extent, but again, I think that goes back to, that's the risk that you take when you're working a job like that. Like the job that I have, and that's usually a side hustle, I think, something like that. So, there's also other side hustles, but
Right.
that's just a risk you take with that. I know every
Right, it's a
single-
known entity. Yeah.
I have the job I have. It's like a job where you make commission. Like
Right.
you don't get paid as much. You
Right.
work off of your commission. You either got to like
Right.
hustle and get that commission,
Or like an hourly job versus a salaried job. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. In other words, in each of those scenarios, there's pluses and minuses. If I have an hourly job and I work 60 hours a week,
Mhm.
I'm getting, compensated for that extra time. If I have a salaried job and I, have a day where in most cases anyway, in some cases it's not this way, but most cases I've ever worked where I was salaried, if I had to leave at, 3 o'clock for a doctor's appointment,
Yeah.
they didn't make me take sick time or anything like that. It was just
Right.
because they knew that there were going to be other days probably that same week where I was going to be working,
Extra
overtime,
long.
extra
Yeah.
time, and I wasn't getting paid for that. So,
Yeah.
my point being with those, there's pluses and minuses to every, thing.
Like I think, if I'm going to get a second job, if you want to make sure that you're going to get a specific number, that you're going to get paid for literally every hour that you work, I think it's better to get a little part-time job at, a retail store
Right.
or
Right.
something like that they're paying you an hourly rate
Right.
versus something that you're
Or
depending on.
reliable. Because
Yeah.
I think the other
Yeah, like a more
thing-
dependable like income
yeah,
rather
because
than
that's
something that you're depending on
because
people's
that's what's
generosity.
difficult about that is like when you get to tougher economic times.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the first thing that suffers when money's tight is you might not tip as much. You know,
Now-
you still might go to dinner because you got to eat, but you're probably gonna, the tip is gonna suffer. It's sad to say that.
But I also think that if you can't tip properly, you shouldn't go out to eat.
Also, that's also true.
If you can't tip
Absolutely also
properly,
true.
don't go to a sit-down restaurant
Yep.
because that server, that is their job. That is what they're kind of banking on in their paycheck.
Yep.
So if you cannot, if you're not tipping because you can't afford it, I think then you should just probably, either get use that money to get a few ingredients at the store or some
Right.
ramen noodles or
Right.
get pickup.
Yeah, I agree. You should, if you're thinking about whether or not you have enough money to go out to a restaurant, you should
Yeah.
be calculating the tip in that decision because
Exactly.
it's not fair to the person that you're, that's bringing you your food out there
Mm-hmm.
that you're not doing that.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we talked about like how Europe is different than we are here, and I wonder
Yeah.
like how that happened. Like how did it happen that the U.S. got on this path of tipping being part of the equation, and over there they just didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably
We'll have
government
to-
stuff.
We'll have to research that. Maybe that'll be one of the discussions for, random facts I don't know, or I think I know. And there was something else I was going to say, and I don't remember what it was.
Wow.
You had something?
Nope.
Okay. So, is that all we had on that topic?
Oh, special announcement,
Ah,
special
that's what I was gonna
announcement,
do.
special announcement. Do, do, do. I don't know if we have a button for
Yeah,
it.
we
Just
yeah.
press one.
uh,
Oh my
oh,
god,
that was-
machine gun.
yeah, you
not the
shouldn't have done-
machine gun.
How about this one?
That's
I don't
Lil
know.
Jon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's kind of a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
special announcement. So we're going to be having 2 podcasts a week now, but not really podcasts. Y'all don't have to listen to us talk that much.
Yeah.
But we are going to be playing a game. I don't know if we figured out a day yet.
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday.
Whenever you see it pop up,
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. We'll probably post it on social media or
We
something.
will have one starting this week.
No.
The week that this episode airs on Tuesday, we will have a second episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're listening to us on Tuesday. And then Thursday or Friday, look out. We're going to be playing a game.
Yeah.
So that's our second day. So we like to play games, and we were really inspired by our Would You Rather game.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun doing that. We like playing games anyways. We always play games.
We're not going to come on here and play like Mario Kart because that would,
Oh,
especially
that would
for
be
those of
fun.
you just
That would be
listening,
fun.
it would be no fun for people listening.
We
though.
have a lot of commentary when we
do-
play
plus,
Mario Kart.
What is that? What is it? Twitch? Is that where people go and play
Oh,
video
yeah.
games? We're not getting a Twitch channel.
Yet.
Yeah.
Catch me playing The Sims on Twitch.
Wow. How would I look in one of those headphones? They always have the headsets on there.
No, so we're going to be, so we'll have our normal podcast still on Tuesdays, and then we are going to be we're going to have some game time.
Yeah. So it'll be sort of like what we did with Would You Rather. We weren't
Yeah.
playing the full game. We were just kind of, doing a modified version where we read the questions. It'll probably be something like that to keep it interesting. We won't play card. We won't play like Go Fish. That would be
Oh,
again. That would be bad listening. I think.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. If you guys have any
But-
games that we should play, though, let us know.
Yeah. If there's a good one that you know of, yeah, let us know, and
We're open to
we'll
suggestions.
put it on the list. But that's going to be the second podcast of the week. Will be Game Time. So
Woo!
watch for it coming soon.
Yeah. Anyways, on that note,
Yeah.
have a nice day,
Bye,
night,
guys.
morning.
Whatever time you're listening to us, and make sure you subscribe. We need more subscribers,
Always.
please.
Right.
Oh,
Oh.
no, that's all.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.